Something I tend to envy about people from time to time is when I see someone that has a goal, something that they want to reach, even if at the moment they aren't anywhere near their objective. I tend to envy these people because I've never been the type of guy that thinks in long-term goals. And sometimes this can make you feel demoralized. You feel in a rut from time to time because not having objectives and something to strive towards leads to stagnation, but also it's not something that you can force to yourself. There are people that naturally think that way, or maybe are lucky to find something that they enjoy, or probably sometimes they are less picky about what they're doing. So their activity, their job, what they're striving towards doesn't have to be so in line with who they think they are as a person. I sometimes get myself paralyzed by the analysis of the perfect thing I should be doing, as if what I do, my activities have to be perfectly aligned with this unspecific, vague idea of who I am as a person, of what I think I am and what I should be doing. And this makes, for example, doing a job just for the money or doing something just to do it very hard, because you're always sort of trying to see if the thing you're doing is the right thing. And this leads to a endless analysis and therefore paralysis. Instead of taking action and then making mistakes and learning from those mistakes, you sort of stay stuck in one place. I envy people that seem to be able to enjoy the simple things, or better, to not be so focused on what they're doing. They can do a job, an activity that sort of works for them, and in the meantime have friends, a relationship, hobbies, and they seem to be content with it. I always bounce from being content and happy to feeling sort of annoyed and bored with what I'm doing, hopeless without a direction, and this sort of cycle repeats itself. Always scared of taking the wrong choice because you're sort of analyzing your life 20 steps ahead, what you think you should be doing, what would be the best position to be in 10 years. And this drains a lot of mental energy and moves you away from the moment and makes it hard for you to enjoy even simple activities and tasks in your everyday life. I would like to have a simple objective. I want to be a doctor. I want to have a family. I want to have a kid. I want to live in this place. I want to make X amount of money. People say that you should be happy in the now and the present. You shouldn't have objectives. You shouldn't strive towards something. Desire is the enemy. But I sometimes think that fundamentally as animals, our main objective, if you will, is to survive. And generally surviving means doing something. For example, in the achievement of homeostasis, the end goal is stable, but the stability is achieved with action, with activity, stuff happening, things being added and removed every second, and so on. So by definition, we should be doing stuff. We should strive towards something. But maybe today, because we don't have to, survive as in the past, we're not in danger every moment of our life. We're not doing activities that are directly correlated with what we need to live. We're not building shelters and finding food and protecting our tribe, but we're doing stuff to get money and to pay for those things. It can be hard to feel as if you're surviving, as in from surviving you feel fulfilled and you don't feel the need to strive towards anything else. You just survive and that's basically the end goal. But today I feel like maybe due to our brain development, it is easy to be focused on, let's say, cognitively taxing tasks or more intellectual tasks, let's put it that way, studying for stuff and so on, but we are lacking the physical exertion or emotional exertion daily to make us feel good, to make us feel satisfied. Obviously take what I'm saying with a bit of grain of salt. I'm feeling a bit down at the moment, so it's a period of my life that's a bit strange and uncertain. Therefore this will influence how I'm viewing stuff right now, but nonetheless it is something I've always envied about people. When I see people that are sure about their life trajectory, they don't seem to be thinking much about what they should do. They just act and then do other things and just go on. And I wish I didn't have the need to always overanalyze things, fight the perfect thing to do, the perfect activity, the perfect job, and so on. As I said, I personally never had objectives. There are moments in my life where I felt bliss and sort of completeness. Maybe an evening going out with some friends, some moments while spending time with my family, sometimes while walking outside or in long, walking trips. And I like those moments. I like to be able to relive those moments and to have them as much as possible. But I've never been the type of person to be much interested in, achieving things in objectives. Like I have to get this promotion, I have to earn this amount of money, I have to get a girlfriend, etc. I'm more interested in the activity of doing things, the action of it. But sometimes that doesn't feel enough. I feel like I want to have a long-term objective I can derive fulfillment from, but maybe this is a sort of a fallacy. I'm just striving towards something. I'm sort of postponing the feeling of contentment, as if I don't want to feel content and I want to just move towards something. I don't know if this is like a normal, as I said, feeling of humans. We always tend to be moving towards something. We always want to survive, or maybe like the times we're living in, like the technology and all the obviously commodities we have, useful commodities, enhance this feeling. In YouTube or even with some of my friends, I also see this feeling. People seem to not be able to enjoy themselves. They always think that they should be doing something. But also I sometimes see people that, let's say, have had a good and balanced childhoods or good emotional connections with their parents, and sort of they developed normally, if you will, and they don't seem to be thinking about too much of what they're doing. They just do things and, enjoy the process, while I'm here, meta-analyzing everything I'm doing, finding it hard to, just be in the moment, except for brief periods. And especially when I was maybe younger, I'm sort of moving away from that childhood bliss or child's eyes, if you will. I still have that playful view of the world, but it's sometimes hard to, just focus on what I want to do. Maybe because I want to have freedom and the ability to do what I want moment to moment. But to have that, you have to be very skilled to be able to create that life for yourself, to be able to earn money in a way that enables you to have freedom. And that obviously, comes from someone that doesn't know what he should be doing, because most people would say, I want to achieve this, I want to become a lawyer. They have specific objectives. I seem to not be able to think in those ways. I tend to think in what the activity gives me, more so than the activity itself, the action. Like, for example, sometimes I may write a poem or I may draw something, and I don't think about, I have to write something, I have to draw something. You're just like naturally inspired to do that thing in the moment. You just feel this urge to do it. And that's basically how I work and how my brain functions. But generally speaking, that's not how most things work. You have to do very repetitive tasks and organize in a certain way. Most jobs require repetition and following specific patterns and so on. And with this YouTube channel, I know it's like a sort of a futile attempt, but I would like to be able maybe one day to be in a position in which I no longer feel like I have to strive towards something. I can just make stuff based on how I'm feeling, say what I want to say, and maybe ideally live off of it. That would be maybe nice. I don't know. And things may be changing. I would like, and maybe I don't know if I'm going towards that direction, to no longer feel the need to find an activity to do that makes me happy. I would like to be able to just do stuff and find enjoyment in the process of doing stuff, because these last couple of years I've been obsessed and thinking about like the perfect job I should be doing. I was very objective focused, but that's not something that's natural to me, and I think that that's why I found this process to be very draining, because I generally don't think in that way. As I said before, I don't make long-term plans, and don't do this at home. I'm not saying that that's a good thing to do, but that's just how things are. I'm trying to force myself to adhere to what most people do, and even for a good reason. That thing works and it helps you stabilize yourself economically and from other points of view. But that's also not, how I tend to do things. I tend to be very impulsive, as I said, do things, as I feel them in the moment. But sometimes it's not easy to have like a normal life, a normal job, like a 9-to-5 job, and also, actively trying to live this way, because, it takes a lot of energy to do structured work and activities instead of, having bursts of energy and productivity, and then moments of winding down and recharging. Repetitive activity that has constant energy drainage is to me, very hard, because that's not how I feel like I'm built. I'm more of someone that likes to have explosions followed by recharge moments, but it's hard to find a path that's viable economically, but also gives you this, ability to follow your internal energy flow, and I hope one day to be able to find that and to structure my life in a way that enables me to be more in tune with myself and with how my brain works and how my energy flows. But we'll see. As always, let me hear what you think. I'm always interested in reading your comments, and see you in the next video.